And from Foreign Policy's David Rothkopf, clean up on aisle one. Not new, not improved. Obama rehashes his Walmart foreign policy. John McCain, critical of the dates or timeline in the pullout of Afghanistan. There is definitely a cry from the right for the president to have a more forceful foreign policy, given this speech.
Yeah, I don't know that it's just from the right either. I think it's fascinating listening to a president 6 years in talking about we need to develop a foreign policy that ... What have you been doing for the past 6 years? The lead in the New York Times, West Point, New York. President Obama tried once more to articulate his vision of the American role in the world here on Wednesday. Julie Pace, what's so fascinating about this man, about this political figure, is that he is one of our most gifted speakers in modern American political history. When he gets behind a microphone, he is capable of soaring rhetoric. But whether you're talking about the president's 12th or is it 13th or 15th turn to jobs, or whether we're talking about the president 6 years in going to West Point doing what most candidates do in their first campaign for president, he is still trying to define what the Obama foreign policy is. 6 years in, what does that say?
Yeah, there was something about this speech that was a little odd. This is not the first major foreign policy address that the president has given. It's not the first time that he has tried to articulate this vision. He actually has done this since he was first running for president. Yet there is this frustration in the White House because they feel like, for whatever reason, they have not either been able to communicate it properly or that it's being misinterpreted by critics, by Republicans. And I don't think we learned a lot new about the president. This is basically the Barack Obama that we have known from the start of his public life. You know, a president who wants to avoid military action unless there is an imminent threat to the United States, a president who tries to straddle this line between isolation and intervention. I do think that when it comes to terrorism, he did paint a fairly scary picture for the public who has lived through 13 years of wars that were designed to fight terrorists, and now he's saying this still remains the top threat. It's just a lot different, and I'm not sure if he provided specific answers for people about how the U.S. will actually respond to those new threats.
And David Ignatius, going back to the lead of the New York Times, President Obama tried once more to articulate his vision of the American role in the world on Wednesday. Are we going to be reading that in the New York Times a year or two from now as the president delivers his farewell address? I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Have you ever? You certainly didn't read that during the Clinton era 6 years in, or the Bush era 6 years in, or the Reagan era 6 years in. It is so ill-defined.
Well,
and